Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 19 of the Lost One podcast. Last week's episode we titled "We're Back," and then we promptly missed like 2 more weeks. So,
Seems
yeah,
legit. That kind of tracks.
yeah. Sorry about that. We had I think, in no particular order, family emergency, Thanksgiving,
hmm
dog emergency.
Oh, and I was down with the sickness one week.
Yeah, you were down with the sickness, and then Samurai was also down with the sickness. So both of you guys got sick, and then my dog also got sick. So literally, out of the three people in this call, and the dog who's sitting over in the room right over by Shoshima, I'm the only one that didn't get sick during that time. Knock on wood. But
God, I hope that's wood.
No, it was his mat slash.
I mean, there's wood under the mat.
But is it mahogany?
No, it is not mahogany. I am not that fancy. Speaking of Team 4 Star, for those that don't know, they have started doing a commentary on DBZ Abridged
Yeah,
on
I've
YouTube.
seen. I've never partook in watching it, but I've seen they're doing it.
It's really good.
Oh,
It's
okay.
really good. I don't want to give too much away, but I think it's on their Bento 4 Star channel or whatever it is. It's not like their main channel. It's one of their side
Oh,
channels.
okay.
But basically they talk a lot about a lot of the behind the scenes stuff because they've done with commentary before. But this seems to be it's just Lanny and Kaiser,
Yeah.
and they are really diving in deep about a lot of stuff and talking about how their editing process, how their voices evolve. It's really really cool. They also answered at least one of the biggest mysteries to me was whatever happened to Vegeta 3986. So they do answer that question in a way that I think will satisfy everybody. They actually give a definitive answer as to what happened and why he suddenly just disappeared.
Okay.
Spoiler alert, they are still all friends, so it wasn't anything bad, but I'm not going to go into detail for what actually happened. You'll have to go check them out. So we're not sponsored by them, but I think all three of us have been big fans of their work for, at this point, over a decade.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, now that we're talking about how old we feel, we're actually going to talk today. I know we're a bit late on this, but we actually want to talk about the late, great Kevin Conroy and Batman. So this is going to be a pretty Batman-centric episode. I imagine we'll talk a lot about Kevin Conroy, who unfortunately passed away not that long ago. And, he made a really big impact on, I think, all of us. I think, for all of us, I think we all, when we think of what Batman sounds like, I think we all think of Kevin Conroy.
Mm-hmm.
And he played Batman for a very long time. I think Batman the Animated Series debuted in 92?
92.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Yep.
he played Batman from 92 all the way till 2006, pretty much consecutively, because that was Batman the Animated Series all the way through Justice League Unlimited. He returned to play Batman again in the Arkham series of video games,
hmm
which I want to say Arkham City came out in 2011, so Arkham Asylum probably came out 2 or 3 years prior to that, right?
I want to say 09, but I'm not 100% sure.
So and then of course he's come back to play Batman in several other roles. Whether it was a cameo in Legends of Tomorrow, which was, my opinion, one of my favorite Conroy appearances. If you guys haven't seen it, it was the CW Arrowverse shows, and he made an appearance as an alternate reality Batman. So he actually got to play Bruce Wayne in live action
Nice.
once. And he was fantastic in it. A lot of people weren't necessarily happy what they did with Batman in that episode, but I liked it. I thought Kevin Conroy nailed it, so I don't know. Maybe I'm just too much of a fan, but
This is kind of like a fun fact, kind of a side thing, but Kevin Conroy actually beat out Tim Daly for the voice of Batman.
oh yeah, I had
Tim
heard that
Daly.
story. Yeah,
Yeah, Tim Daly would later become Superman
yeah,
in the animated series.
which is really
Oh,
funny.
that's pretty
So
great.
yeah, and of course they ended up working together.
A lot, yeah.
hmm
I don't know if this is a fact, but Batman the Animated Series and Superman the Animated Series, the world's finest crossover, was really one of the first crossovers between two ongoing shows that I remember
Mm-hmm.
seeing. I know that Jimmy Neutron and Timmy Turner would later do it with the Jimmy Timmy Power Hour.
I
Mhm.
remember Power Rangers and Ninja Turtles crossing over. I don't know where that
Oh,
lines up on
oh,
the
yeah,
That
that's
did
right.
happen. Oh my God, you're right. So
Yeah.
I stand corrected. I'm pretty sure that was earlier.
I think so, but I don't remember the actual
No,
timeline.
I want to
Or-
say
Or it's at
that-
least before the Timmy Turner Jimmy Neutron.
Well, it was definitely before that one because I know World's Finest was before that one.
yeah,
uh,
but
World
it was
World
in
Finest
space.
was definitely before that because yes, In Space did do the
Ninja Turtle
n-
crossover.
Ninja Turtle crossover. That was
We're the buff ass turtles.
It was no. So In Space was later because the
Mhm.
original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers I think debuted in like '95, and that went for 3 seasons. World's Finest I'm pretty sure was in '90.
Mighty Morphin was 93.
It was '93. Okay, so it was '96. Then you had Zeo. Because in Space I think was like around the 2000s. Like it was
it's somewhere
late
in there.
'90s, early 2000s, right?
Somewhere in there, yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm pretty sure that World's Finest was in like '97 or '98.
Okay. So
I'm
That
pretty
sounds
sure.
about- yeah.
So okay, it looks like I'm not corrected. Yay! But
I just
maybe.
blew your mind.
Yeah. Again, we don't do any research for this at all.
No, and I just remember random bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, but in fairness, like we were all Power Rangers fans too. That was the time.
What do you mean
be
were?
cool. Yeah, still am. Speaking of which, since we are kind of paying tribute, rest in peace to Jason David Frank,
Yes.
the late great Tommy Oliver, arguably the greatest Power Ranger to ever suit up. Appeared, I think, in 4 series at least.
Are we talking just one-off cameos too? Because then there was probably more than that.
Yeah, probably, but no,
Yeah.
I'm just talking about like he was a regular in I think like 4 different series.
Correct.
Because it was like he was Mighty Morphin, Zeo,
Turbo,
Turbo, and then
Dino Thunder.
Dino Thunder.
And then he made cameos in several others.
Yeah, including like Forever Red and
Yeah,
the
which was
20
Wild
what was it?
Horse.
Was it the 20th anniversary or the 25th anniversary where he showed up? Maybe he showed up in both.
I don't probably.
Yeah.
I mean, if they did an anniversary one, he was usually there.
Yeah.
But I don't know for sure.
The one thing I do remember that he was not actually in was when they did the it was oh god, it was the you know how they did like the backwards crossover where the previous generation would get their powers for like 1 or 2 episodes, and it was what was it, SPF, the one in space with like the dog?
Dog and
SPD.
Oh,
SPD, yeah. So it was SPD. So in the crossover with Dino Thunder with SPD, he actually did not appear. They had an actor stand in because he couldn't make it.
Oh, okay.
They like literally like I think they might have used like his voice footage or something, but he did not physically appear in that episode, in that crossover.
Which,
So-
when you're wearing helmets, pretty easy to just dub over.
Pretty much.
It's almost like that's how the whole show was created.
Yeah, pretty much.
Anyway, that's the whole separate aside.
Yeah, that this is not a Power Rangers podcast, but now we should probably do a Power Rangers podcast at some point.
Easy.
I mean,
That's good, yeah.
there's enough material at this point with Power Rangers. We could talk about that a lot. So, let's kind of transition back to Kevin Conroy, though. Kevin Conroy obviously left a big impression. You know, I think very early on in this podcast, I actually brought up his comic that he did for DC Pride this year, where he basically told his story. And I still highly encourage anybody to go check it out. I believe it's available on Amazon, DC Pride 2022. I think you can get it for like Kindle. And, you know, I'm sure it's floating around the internet somewhere. But, you know, again, it's a really powerful story because a lot of people didn't realize that Kevin Conroy was a gay man. And he was a gay man where, you know, during the AIDS crisis and, of course, during, you know, the 90s and the 2000s, where gay rights were not nearly as well accepted here in the United States, and in fact were outwardly demonized, made fun of. In the 90s, I know all of us can speak for it, but, you know, you being gay was a slur, which I'm very grateful we have moved on from. But
yeah, to be honest, that's where I learned that of his sexuality, which, in my opinion, still doesn't matter. But
yeah. No, and
Yeah.
I mean, it shouldn't, but, you know, we don't live in an ideal world, so
yeah,
he does matter for a lot of people as a gay icon. And, you know, unlike a certain other gay icon whose author has since gone off the deep end, Kevin Conroy never became a villain. He never had a villain arc.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is really telling of him and his legacy and who he was as an individual. There's not a lot of negative stories about Kevin Conroy. And
I mean, did you hear about him after 9/11? What he did?
no,
No.
I'm sure I've heard this story before, but I can't think of it right now. So please enlighten us, Samurai.
There's a story that he tells. You can find it on YouTube, and where he after 9/11, he there was a sense of mourning basically,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and he volunteered his time at a diner in New York, and someone had called him out and asked him what he did, and he was just like, "I'm the voice of Batman," and people were all like, "Yeah, right. Then give us a line." And then of course he hits them with the Batman voice, and they're just like, "Dude, fucking Batman's working in our diner."
Which, not gonna lie, that's like the most New York thing to fucking happen.
Right. It really is.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I think the only thing more New York, because in the DC universe, Metropolis is based off New York, whereas Gotham is based off Chicago, is if Superman flew down and was working at the restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah,
I think that would have been maybe the only thing that was slightly more New York.
A New Yorker being
Gotham's
like,
in New Jersey.
No, I know it is, but it was based off Chicago.
Oh, was it? Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's based off Chicago. Again, like you think like Falcone and like the mob. It's based. It's out of Jersey. Like, look, no disrespect to New Jersey.
Hey,
but,
the Jersey Shore has a good mob, okay? Okay.
yeah, but like the mob, the whole like 1920s setting was based off of Chicago, and
Okay.
Metropolis is based on New York, and it's not to say that's where they're actually located in the fictional universe, but that was their inspiration.
True. Oh yeah. Yeah. All right. I'm following you now.
Yeah. So, yeah, but anyway, that's again just a wonderful story. I'd like to share one of mine that I actually it blew my mind to learn that this existed, and I'm like so disappointed in myself as a fan to have not known about this earlier.
All right, I'm ready to learn because I probably don't know this.
Do you guys remember the Justice League episode? I think it was Justice League. It might have been Justice League Unlimited, where Wonder Woman gets turned into a pig by Cersei.
Sounds
Yes.
vaguely familiar.
And so it might have been, I don't remember if it was Justice League or Justice League Unlimited. I want to say it was Unlimited because of the number of like heroes that he invited.
They reached out to Zatanna.
They did, but Zatanna had appeared in Batman the Animated Series. Fun
Yeah,
fact, I
but-
also learned that Jennifer Hale voiced Zatanna in that episode.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, and we just talked, for those that are not familiar, we just talked about Jennifer Hale not that long ago when Shoshima told us about the Bayonetta saga.
Mhm.
So, because Jennifer Hale is the new voice of Bayonetta. So,
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of funny. I'm like, wow, that's convenient. But at the end of the episode, Batman basically being the world's greatest detective and arguably one of the smartest people in the DC universe, realizes that they can't overpower Cersei, so maybe they can make a deal with her.
Mm-hmm.
And Cersei goes on this long, like, monologue of what Batman would have to give to turn Wonder Woman back. And it's like, I want something that you've tried to keep very secret, something that once revealed you can never take back. So it's like, it's strongly implying that she wants him to unmask in front of everybody and reveal who he is.
Uh-huh.
And instead, the scene switches and this music plays, and Batman is on stage where Cersei had been and starts singing Am I Blue, which is a actual jazz song that Warner Brothers owns.
Okay.
And so, yeah, Kevin Conroy like literally performs Am I Blue, and you only hear like, I think it's only like maybe 15 or 16 seconds of it. It's not very long.
Uh-huh.
And I just found out that Kevin Conroy recorded a full version and has it for free to listen to on his website.
Oh, okay.
What?
Yes! So if you haven't checked it out, kevinconroy.com. I think the certification is expired, so you might get like a security warning, but like, you just look up Kevin Conroy, Am I Blue? And he sings the full song. And he's phenomenal. Because if you didn't know, he has a theater background. So he's amazing, he's incredible, and for anyone out there, please go check out Kevin Conroy's full rendition of Am I Blue, which he literally sang as Batman in an episode of Justice League or Justice League Unlimited.
I was like, usually singing's hard enough to do, let alone in character.
Yeah, and he
So,
crushes it.
since we're talking about his background, also fun little fact: he didn't know who Batman was before he went into that audition.
I'm not surprised. That happens with a lot of
Yeah.
actors.
Well, yeah, I remember I think I mentioned it before about
Ryan Reynolds in Deadpool.
no,
Well, because you did mention that one.
okay, no, but for Wolverine and Hugh Jackman.
Hugh
He
Jackman.
didn't know what a fucking Wolverine was.
Oh,
He
yeah,
was like
yeah,
6
yeah.
years old.
Oh yeah, I heard about that one.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, no, it happens a lot. Like Patrick Stewart never, he didn't know who Professor X was. Like,
Uh-huh.
Mm.
or I should say Sir Patrick Stewart. We got to put that respect.
Yeah,
on
put
his
that
name.
respect on the man. Because he
But,
might know your mind if you don't.
He's knighted.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean that's not too surprising.
Yeah, well, and we also have to keep in mind back then, Batman. I mean, that's what also like put Batman on the map as far as like mainstream pop culture.
Oh yeah, Batman the Animated Series was, obviously we'd had the Adam West, Adam West, but like he had primarily been like a cartoon, like super campy character.
Yeah, exactly. That
And-
wasn't like Batman. That was like a slapstick type of.
And we had also had, I think at that point, the Batman live action films had been aired. I think the first one came out in like 88 or 89.
Mm-hmm.
So like Batman was making his way into mainstream, but like I think
guess, or maybe a better way is the animated series helped brainwash little kids. For lack of better words.
Batman the Animated Series absolutely introduced Batman to a whole new generation of audiences, all of us included. And it also, let's be real, like some of the Batman films were good, but then you also had Batman and Robin.
Oh, dude, bat nipples.
Yeah. And that's not a knock on any of the cast. Like, man, I look at the cast that movie.
No, the cast is fucking great.
I'm like, I don't know how that movie is so bad.
Oh,
Because
well,
literally everything about that movie screams star power.
movie Power of 3. That's why.
Yeah.
That back in those days, Power of 3, baby.
Yeah, I mean, Power of 3 still to an extent. Like, it's hard to make a
Yeah.
good trilogy, but like,
Mhm.
man, just all those ice puns. Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze. Amazing cast, terrible dialogue. Love it.
It's the worst and the best all at the same time.
It really is. Like, that's
Like,
the thing, is like,
yeah.
we're kind of dunking on it, but like, these are the live action Batman movies we grew up with as kids.
Uh-huh.
And
It's from a place of love.
it is.
Uh-huh.
And look, I unironically enjoy League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, which is one of the worst movies ever made. Like, legitimately.
Oh,
It
wait,
is.
I always get that confused with Mystery Men.
Oh,
In my
God.
fucking head, when you said it, you said League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, and I pictured Ben Stiller.
Yeah. No. This is actually the movie that
Yes, no, I
Sean Connery retired after.
it was so
It
bad
was
he
that
retired.
fucking bad, and well, I'll have to share more about that story later. So, like, I want to just be very clear to our listeners and to our watchers that, like, I say like Batman and Robin sucks because it does, but I still love it, and I will watch it anytime it comes.
But
out.
I mean, sometimes it sucks so bad it's good.
Mhm.
It
Dude,
just
I
shoots
mean,
the moon.
I'm over here saying the same thing about like Resident Evil.
Yeah.
I watched that whole series.
I have legitimately watched like every Resident Evil movie, which is hilarious because I am not able to get through the games.
I
Well, they're
own
not
them
the
all.
same.
They're not, but I'm just saying it's like I always just find that weird. I'm like, I can watch like literally every Resident Evil thing. I even watched like the Netflix one and the recent
Mhm.
movie.
Oh yeah, the Netflix one came out.
And I'll just tell you, neither of those I thought were very good. The most recent movie or the Netflix one.
Oh yeah, the Return to
Dude.
Raccoon City. Yeah, I heard there was a reason they released that on Thanksgiving Day last year.
Yeah. But
They tried to
No
bury it in
one-
the holiday.
No one knew that released. That shows you just how much they actually backed it.
so the thing with Return to Raccoon City is it has moments,
Mhm.
but they make some decisions that I'm just like, why?
I heard like Leon's a pretty fuckboy. Like that's like what they make him in that movie.
Yeah. And then with the with like the Netflix series, really good cast, really strong performances by them. The story's just not there.
Yeah, didn't they like try to make it about Wesker's like random ass kids that
Yes.
weren't his kids, that they had kids in the 6th game?
There's also a lot of Wesker clones.
Yeah, sounds about right.
It's a very. They also do this thing where they're like it's like the parallel storytelling, kind of like where it's like one story takes place in the past, one is in the future, and then they're like being told concurrently. Kind of like what Arrow used to do.
That and The Witcher did it, right?
Yeah,
Season 1.
The Witcher did it, but The Witcher did it with like multiple timelines.
Yeah, that got really confusing.
It did, yeah, but it's not done well in my opinion, and that's unfortunate because again, cast is really strong, but man, it's just not a good story, and it's not the pacing's not good. I think that's the two biggest critiques I have for that. But anyway, let's get back to Batman. So
Batman.
Kevin Conroy. Let's kind of share, and I'll give you guys a little bit of time for this because I'm just going to throw this out at you. What was your favorite earliest memory of Kevin Conroy's Batman? I remember mine very distinctly. It was the Grey Ghost episode with guest star Adam West. I'll never forget it. That was the very first time I remember hearing Conroy's Batman. That's the first episode I remember watching. And of course, at the time, I had no idea that Adam West even played Batman. I didn't even know who Adam West was. And but obviously, that would prove to be a super iconic episode because the episode did kind of tell the story of Adam West in a way. Because the story, for those that are not familiar with the Grey Ghost episode, is that the Grey Ghost was an actor, played the Grey Ghost on television, and couldn't find any work because he'd been typecast as the Grey Ghost, which is exactly what happened to Adam West with Batman.
Yeah.
And
Michael Keaton.
And several others. Like, when you played a superhero, you got typecast at that role because I just had this conversation, like, the other day, but, like, the Hollywood movers and shakers really... They had some crazy, like, stuff ingrained in their head.
Well, and the drugs didn't help anything.
That didn't either, but I'm just saying, like, even to this day, like, there's still, like, some stuff, like... The discussion we had was about, like, female action leads because of an interview Jennifer Lawrence just did.
Okay.
And it was like, Jennifer Lawrence, of course, in her, like, blunt fashion, just made a statement, and Variety that was not entirely accurate, and Variety ran with it because, of course, like, it was controversial, so it'll get more clicks.
Yeah.
But, the crux of what she was saying was true, is that, like, even, like, at the time when Hunger Games came out, which was, like, the 2010s, there hadn't been a lot of, like, female action heroes. And if there had been, like, even in case, like, for example, Sarah Connor from Terminator, there was another gimmick there. Like, the Terminator was billed as, like, the main star of that movie.
Well, yeah, he was, Connor. Like, the dude fighting stuff. I mean.
So, but it's like, so, her point was that, like, there really hadn't been, like, a female action lead, like, really. And of course there have been, but, like, most of them were either, unfortunately not financially successful or just not written well, quite frankly. Especially not in film. And... again, it was like, that was 2010. Like, you would think, oh my gosh. But as I kind of pointed out, like, even Marvel and DC, who were both, like, progressive, comic book companies, didn't have a female lead in their films until, like, way later. Like, I think Wonder Woman came first, and I think that was, like, 2015 or so. Like,
if we're talking about the current DC or EU or whatever they're calling it nowadays.
Yeah. and then like Marvel was like 2017 with Captain Marvel. So it is like, again, when I say that, like, a lot of the Hollywood, like, higher ups had really weird ideas, like, yeah, if you're a superhero, you're just not able to do anything else because you're just forever typecasted. And I'm sure audiences played a role in that to an extent. But yeah, I mean, like, even to this day, there's still some, like, look at what the DC did, what the DCU tried to do, for their films, like, with Warner Brothers. It's just like they just outright canceled Batgirl, like an entire finished movie. They just, like, scrapped it.
Okay, so
just
so we don't get reamed in the comments. Question.
Yeah.
Elektra
does count, but Elektra was not financially successful, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I know that, but I just want to. I just wanted to make that the like before they say anything.
I'm pretty
Oh,
sure I'm
as
pretty
far
sure
as-
I said that there had been like action stars, but they were always like attached to another gimmick, or they just weren't financially successful. I'm pretty sure I said that. Like,
Mm.
this is not a knock on like women leading. I am all for like more women leads.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know
But-
100% for sure, but Sigourney Weaver in Aliens was a pretty good female.
Yeah. Oh no, for sure. Well,
Star.
Sarah Connor was another one in Terminator. Right?
Yeah, but no, and
But-
then you have your gimmick there.
But you had your gimmick in the Alien with Sigourney Weaver, unfortunately.
Mhm.
So again, it's like that's my thing. Is it's like, and I think Alien's more like a horror movie, not so much an action. But
Yeah,
your
that's-
point is still made. Like, you could have successful female leads, but they were not
Mhm.
commonplace.
Correct. I'm just pointing out
And-
one that was there.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, like I think all of us agree, like we want more female leads. Like
Mhm.
I think it has been proven time and time again that you can have a female lead and still have a kick-ass movie across the board. But the problem is that we're not the ones you need to convince. It's the movers and shakers in Hollywood that still hold on to these like ancient, silly ideas, like, oh, a woman can't lead an action movie, which is ridiculous, or oh, you were cast as a superhero, that means you can't do anything else, like what happened to Adam West. It's like, I don't know.
Mhm.
I find that to be some of the weirdest thought process.
Mhm.
But yeah, like with the Gray Ghost though, it's like that was kind of Adam West's story. Is he was typecast as
Mhm.
Batman. Gray Ghost couldn't find any work. He literally breaks down and cries in the episode. And then
Mhm.
through like some kind of really strange situation where a villain is recreating an episode of the Gray Ghost, Batman ends up teaming up with the Gray Ghost. And it leads to a resurgence in the Gray Ghost popularity. And Bruce kind of subtly reveals his identity at a signing
Oh, okay.
to the Gray Ghost.
Mhm.
So that was, like I said, my kind of first episode with Kevin Conroy as Batman, barring that total sidebar ranting about the stupidities of Hollywood elites. But what about you guys? What was your kind of like first memory of Kevin Conroy as Batman?
So I don't remember like the first time I was introduced to Adam West. I mean, not Adam West. Kevin Conroy as Batman. But I do.
Adam West.
I have.
Who's Adam Wee?
I have.
Adam West.
I have this. This memory, and I've shared it with you guys before, where I realized, hot damn, this guy is like awesome in general.
Yeah.
I shared this memory with you guys before, but it's the episode on Leather Wings.
Okay. Yeah. I remember that one.
Mm-hmm. Where it really shows just how different his voices are, even though they're like close, but
Yeah.
one's more dark and brooding, because there's a scene in that episode where he is dressed up as Batman. He's talking to Alfred, has to call a doctor, and switches up to Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
it is a really jarring scene to be like, but
He's still in the Batman costume,
yeah, he's
But he's
still in the
talking as-
Batman costume.
but he's
Bruce
talking as
Wayne.
Bruce Wayne. Yeah.
Yeah. So that to me was like the moment that I was just like, dang, that really shows you that they are two different characters in the same body, kind of thing,
Yeah, and that's something that like the live action movies have tried to replicate. Like Christian Bale, for
Yeah.
example, and his "I am the Night." But
Hey, controversial opinion. I still say that Ben Affleck's Batman had it right. They didn't even try. They were just like, no.
yeah, no, I'm not gonna disagree, but
I think Robert
Realistically,
Pattinson
you
did
would
it.
want a voice changer.
yeah, 100%.
I don't think Robert
And-
Pattinson's was too bad in the Batman.
I haven't. I have yet to see Robert
Oh.
Pattinson's,
Okay.
It's pretty good.
but yeah, no, that's what I hear.
Low key, I had an
Um,
existential crisis halfway through that movie because I realized Batman is just an emo millennial. I'm like, I can be Batman. What the fuck?
Nah. Batman's supposed to be older than us, not represent us.
I know, for real.
We're getting old. This is like the fourth time we've made ourselves feel old this episode. Like,
Yeah.
I think we're trying to set a
Well-
record here.
I think what was it? Joker had it right. It was just like when they revealed that it was Bruce Wayne, he was like, now I know that it's just some rich asshole with parental issues.
Oh God, what episode? What movie was that? That wasn't from the animated series. That was from one of the DC
No,
movies, right?
yeah, that oh man, I can't remember the name of it. I want to say it was one of the series. I want to say it was one of the series,
Yeah,
kind
it's
of like
it,
the
that
Harley Quinn series that they have.
it doesn't Joker like literally say like I like your company was supposed to release like electric cars this year. I put down a deposit. Where's my car, Bruce, or something like that.
Where's my goddamn electric car, Bruce?
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, yeah, I remember that. Good stuff. And like he didn't want it to be revealed either. Like
No,
that was whoever was filling in for Harley, and the name's the villain who was filling in for Harley is escaping me. But
it was Scarecrow.
Scarecrow, that's right.
Scarecrow.
He was trying so hard to be like Joker's new assistant, he just kept fucking everything up. It was great.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so Shoshima, how about you?
So honestly, I've been like racking my brain trying to remember the first time I heard Kevin Conroy as Batman.
Uh-huh.
I really can't think of anything. The most that I can really think of is just hearing his voice again in Arkham Asylum
Well, there you go.
and just feeling like, you know what? This is right.
Yeah.
Like just having him back as Batman.
Yeah.
I'm just like, no, this is fucking great. Like that's really all that comes to mind, like trying to think of like when I think of Batman, it's always still Kevin Conroy.
Yeah.
But I can't
Mhm.
really remember the first time. I just think he's always been Batman.
Yeah, I mean, in fairness, you were born in '92, so yeah.
You know, yeah.
Like,
It's
he literally has always been Batman for you.
pretty
Like,
much. So yeah, unfortunately, I don't have like a first time.
Yeah. That's okay.
It's
you know.
probably just because you didn't know who it was, but he'd always been the voice.
Yeah.
And then by the time like the voice was gone and then came back, you're just like,
It just it
That's
felt
the
like
voice.
I was at home again. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think a lot of people feel that way, you know. And again, this is no disrespect to any of the actors who've portrayed Batman over the years. Certainly not
Mhm.
Adam West. You know, definitely not. Excuse me. All of the you know, whether it's Ben Affleck or Christian Bale or George Clooney or
dude,
Val Kilmer.
Troy Baker to me is a close second.
Yeah, Troy Baker. You know, this is not a knock on any of them,
Mm-hmm.
but Kevin Conroy really took the role. And I think kind of like to touch on what Samurai said is that like he played so many different iterations of Batman over the course of like Batman's life because he played young Bruce and Batman, you know, like in the prime of his career during Batman the animated series.
Mm-hmm.
He played a slightly older Batman, senior member, super grouchy in, you know, Justice League and Justice League Unlimited. He played really old Bruce in Batman Beyond.
Yeah.
And he had kind of like a distinctive voice for all of them. Like, you know,
Mhm.
whether he was playing Bruce Wayne or whether he was playing Batman. You know, and then like even like listening to him, there's an episode of Justice League Unlimited. I know for a fact it's unlimited this time, where they actually have young Bruce interact with old Bruce because it's time travel, and also my boy Static appears. Yeah.
Oh,
As
this is the
yeah.
episode. Can't
Batman.
believe I was ever so green.
Yeah, Batman, Bruce Wayne, Batman. Or have you met? Not now. Oh, great. Now I'm getting that. What do they used to call it? Stereo.
Stereo.
Brought back
Oh, yeah.
Terry McGinnis as Batman. But yeah, it's just, you know, like he has like that was just such a great, like, you know, there's the whole thing of like actors talking to themselves and listening. I could listen to Kevin Conroy talk to himself as Batman like all day,
Mm-hmm.
and listening to like the interactions with younger Batman and older Batman, and like you said, I can't believe I was ever that green. This is how you interrogate someone.
Cuts to black, and the guy is just spilling his guts in the next scene.
Yeah, including how he wet his bed until he was 5. Like,
I mean, and it's not the first time that's happened.
no.
Because what was it? Also in Justice League, probably Unlimited with Deadshot.
Yeah, what did he say to him? You don't want to know.
I don't want to know.
No, I think I posted this a while ago, but just like talking about Batman and his like ability to intimidate people. Have you guys seen like the DC shorts they were releasing on YouTube for like DC Kids? It was like airing on Saturdays, and it was like a bunch of short like episodes.
No, again, it sounds
Maybe.
familiar, but I can't tell you for sure.
So there's one episode in particular, and Kevin Conroy isn't the voice, but it's just this is such a Batman thing where Superman and Batman are doing their good cop bad cop routine, right? They're about to interrogate Deadshot, of course, and which is what made me think of it as you talked about Deadshot, and Superman is like, "How come you're always bad cop?" It's like, I want to be bad cop this time." And it just goes in, and Superman is like trying really hard to be bad cop, and it's not working. It's not working. Like Deadshot is not even remotely impressed because it's Superman. He's the Boy Scout. No one's intimidated by him. But Batman,
the strongest being on the universe, by the way.
yeah, right. But Batman is like being nice and friendly and like smiling and like offering him coffee, and that freaks out Deadshot so much that he starts confessing anyway.
If
So
Batman's being nice, I'm fucked.
Yeah, because he's like, coffee, and he's just sitting there smiling, and just like, oh, like, what are you doing? Is this like poisoned? What are you doing? It's really good. If you have like a couple minutes, like just go check it out. It's phenomenal.
Batman doesn't smile.
He
It
does.
was freaky when Superman was dressed up as Batman.
Oh god, that
They
was
were trying to figure.
Yeah,
That
he like
was-
takes over for a day, right?
yeah. So basically, Bruce Wayne goes missing, and this is actually a Superman the Animated Series episode. It's not a Batman the Animated Series. It's not even technically a quote unquote crossover where like both of them are combining.
Yeah.
It's just a standalone Superman episode where a bunch of like villains from Gotham City are like appearing in Metropolis for some reason, and so then Superman goes to investigate, and it turns out Batman's been missing, and you know,
The
so
only one who's been keeping them somewhat, rounded up
Okay.
has been Robin, but that's way too much for him to handle.
yeah, so you know, because I think that was Tim Drake, right? Not I think at this point
It was-
Nightwing had already been a thing, so this is
Yeah,
Tim
it's-
Drake's Robin. And I'll never forget the line, but like, you know, he's like, "Where's your boss?" And Robin is like, you know, trying to protect Bruce. And Superman's like, "Okay, where's Bruce?" And that is basically enough. So literally they have Superman dress up as Batman.
Mm-hmm.
And Superman is doing his best to try and like impersonate Batman, like in front of Gordon and I can never think of his name, but who's the other guy who's always with Gordon? Who's this like
Bullock?
Bullock, thank you. Harvey Bullock. As soon as you said that, I'm like, name comes back to me. But
Yeah.
and like so while he's like, you know, while Gordon is like briefing him, Superman is just like trying to look like menacing, but he's like staring off into the distance. Like the whole time. And then, you know, it ends up like Bane and I think it's Riddler
Scarecrow.
and
Oh, wait, no,
no, it's
I know-
Riddler. It's Bane, Riddler,
Hatter.
and Mad Hatter. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so fun fact about this episode is that was unfortunately Mad Hatter's voice actor passed away.
Oh, okay.
So that was actually Mad Hatter's last appearance in the DC animated universe. Was this episode. But they like all kind of like team up to like capture Batman and like overpower him. And of course it's actually Superman
Yeah.
under the
Turns
cape
out
of
you're
Batman.
trying to overpower Superman, you
So-
dumb bitch.
So literally, like Superman just overpowers Bane,
Yeah.
like it just beats the holy shit out
living
of
shit
him.
out of Bane.
And you know, and this is like souped up like Venom Bane,
Yeah.
like just crushes him in like a straight up fist fight.
And then Superman's like, eh. like, just-
Not really, like
I
he
know.
does make it look like somewhat good, but it's like, yeah,
He's been working out.
yeah. Because like Riddler and Mad Hatter all can't figure out, and like Superman decides to mess with Mad Hatter, who tries to flee, and like so he uses his like super speed to like do the whole Batman like disappearing reappearing thing, and just like totally messes and freaks out Hatter. It's wonderful if you haven't seen it.
Which
Um,
also, to bring this back to Kevin Conroy, he does come up in this episode
He does.
because there's where Superman
He's-
talks
Yeah, he's mimicking Batman's voice.
and he mimics Batman's voice, and then when it freaks out Robin, he then mimics Robin's voice.
Yeah, which is also really creepy.
Just yeah.
But yeah, so it's kind of fun because you get to hear Kevin Conroy playing Superman impersonating Batman.
That sounds pretty layered, honestly.
It's pretty great. It kind of reminds me like we talked about it's kind of fun how this ties in, but I was talking about the commentary on Team 4-Star earlier, right? And in one of their episodes when Goku and Ginyu swap bodies, they specifically talked about how, because they kept Moscow still voicing Ginyu and Goku's body, and they kept I think it was Antfish playing Goku and Ginyu's body. And they talked about how when they do these like mind switch type things, they hate it when they get lazy and they just have the voice actors switch roles. So
yeah,
the voice actor for Goku is now voicing Goku and Ginyu's body. Mm-hmm. So the voice is still the same, even though it's the same body. Like
a different body.
A different body. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they talked about how specifically they wanted to not do that.
Okay.
And how they wanted Moscow to like portray Ginyu. So it was Ginyu in Goku's body, and then Antfish as Goku in Ginyu's body. And they like specifically talked about how they want to go on, and I am all for that. Like, because I agree, it's like it doesn't make any sense, and it kills that like
because I mean that body is still going to use the vocal cords in the same general fashion.
Yeah, why would he sound the same as Goku's? Like, why would Ginyu sound the same? Why would Ginyu with Goku's mind sound the same as Goku? He doesn't have the same vocal cords. It makes no sense. So. I really loved that they did that in this episode, and then of course to kind of tie this back into like the greater DC animated universe, they did a brain switch with Lex Luthor and Flash in an episode.
That sounds like an interesting combination.
Where they had, I think it was Michael Rosenbaum who voiced Wally West. He played Lex Luthor in Smallville.
Oh, okay.
So that was kind of like a fun little thing, was that he got to voice Lex Luthor again as Flash, and then Clancy Brown, who is Luthor, is voicing the Flash as Luthor. And I love when you go all in like that, because it's like you get to hear like their takes on their character.
Well, and it just helps the range of the voice actors too, like at least give them the props.
Yeah, and again, it just reminds you like, oh yeah, Michael Rosenbaum, I think that was his name, who played Wally West in The Flash. He was Lex Luthor in Smallville. So like he got to play Lex Luthor again.
That's pretty cool. I didn't know all that.
Which was fun. He was fantastic. And then hearing Clancy Brown try to like mimic like Wally West Flash from Justice League was hilarious.
Oh, okay.
Because we all know Clancy Brown for the deep authoritative voice.
Yeah.
And instead he's sitting there like, oh man, dial up this, like trying to like figure out like, oh no, I'm Lex Luthor, and like just the cadence is just beautiful. Chef's kiss. But yeah, Kevin Conroy nails it. Like again, it's Kevin Conroy voicing Superman, impersonating Batman. So, and again, it really shows off just how great he was.
Yeah.
In the role. So I don't know. That's just one of my personal favorites. So like, let's just dive in. Let's talk some of our personal favorite Kevin Conroy moments. Like, do you guys have favorite episodes? Like, favorite roles he's done? Like anything like that. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be Batman, but we'll probably talk mostly about Batman.
You want to know my favorite Kevin Conroy moment?
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
I actually got to meet him at LA Comic-Con.
Oh, that's pretty
cool. Yeah. Dude. And he was so cool. So he had a panel at LA Comic-Con a few years back. I want to say 2017, 2018, somewhere around there.
Mm-hmm.
And
pre-pandemic.
Mm-hmm. And after his panel, everyone just wanted to talk to him. So it was kind of like he had another panel out in the hallway where he was just talking to people.
That's so cool.
Like he was just really cool about it.
Yeah.
So I was really lucky to meet him. I didn't get anything signed by him, unfortunately. But if I look through with my archives of pictures, I could probably find something of that meetup.
Yeah, that would be really cool if you could. But that's super cool. I'm really glad. Like, yeah, he was on my short list of like, oh, I would really like to meet this guy. I don't have a long list on that, but he was on that list, 100%. Fortunately, I'll never get that opportunity now, but I'm grateful that I at least get to look back at his long archive of work. And again, I also did discover his Am I Blue, and I got to share that with you guys. So I'll take full credit for that one. How about you, Shoshima? What was your kind of like? Do you have a favorite like moment of Kevin Conroy?
Not again, he's just always been Batman. I don't have any particular moments. I mean, not really. I know, you know.
Well, you said earlier Arkham Asylum, right?
Yeah.
So would that count? Like,
I guess, yeah. I mean, just him returning and being able to be in the Arkham games.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it was great having him back, but yeah, I don't have like this specific voice line or role or scene or anything.
yeah, I mean, that's
yeah.
okay. But but like, I think like you said, it was him coming back. Like,
Yeah.
and you were like, this is right.
Yeah, I was just trying to think of something else to not answer this a different question with the same answer.
No, but there's nothing wrong with having the same answer. If, like,
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
If it's the same answer, it's the same answer. Like,
Yeah.
I would prefer you give an honest answer than like try to make.
Okay,
something
well, yeah, then
But,
yeah,
yeah.
just having him back and it just because yeah, there was other Batman games where he wasn't Batman and it was just awkward, and other series where like the Batman actor wasn't bad, but it wasn't Batman.
Yeah.
You know, for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I feel the same way. We were actually, before we got started, we actually had to stop ourselves from talking about like other Batman series. But
Yeah.
like to just kind of put it in perspective, how impactful Conroy was to all of us is that several other Batman series have come out without him as the lead.
hmm
And some are way better than others. Like Samurai, you mentioned Troy Baker is probably like your close second.
Very close second, yes. Which is
And-
funny because he also plays Joker too when he plays Batman.
Yeah, and
So he's
Troy,
doing.
remind me again, Troy Baker, he was the voice of Batman in some of the movies, right?
hmm
Like the more adult oriented movies.
Yes, and not only
Yeah.
that, but he is, if I remember correctly, he's also the origin story Batman
Yeah.
in the game.
I was gonna say that he, yeah, I'm pretty sure he was the voice in Arkham Origins.
Arkham Origins.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't played Arkham Origins, so I wouldn't know. But
I haven't gotten that far either. I still need to play Arkham City.
oh, okay. So I literally just beat Arkham City for the first time like a week ago. That game still holds up really well. It's incredible.
I bet.
Yeah, but do yourself a favor, play that game, and Arkham Asylum too if you haven't. Like, I do recommend. both.
No, that's the thing. I played Arkham Asylum. I still need to play Arkham City.
Yeah, Arkham City is fantastic. It still holds up really well, and Conroy delivers some incredible lines in that game as well. And of course, you have Mark Hamill as Joker, so it's like it's perfect. It really is.
Which, by the way, it's like double dose of sadness. It's gonna be slightly harder to get Mark Hamill to be Joker again if with Kevin Conroy.
Yeah, but I mean, in
Uh,
all fairness, though, like I do feel like Mark Hamill's is to me, he is Joker, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
But I
I mean-
have had a better time accepting some new Joker actors than I have
Troy Baker.
Batman actors. Troy Baker's one. John DiMaggio is actually probably my number two.
Mm. hmm
I believe he was Joker, and I think it was Under the Red Hood.
Dude, that
Phenomenal. Phenomenal performance. There's been some good Joker actors. Like, again, none to the level, in my opinion, of Hamill. But I don't feel as strongly about Batman's replacement. Like, Troy Baker, again, solid,
Mhm.
just not Conroy. I don't want to knock, again, anybody who has donned the cape and cowl.
hmm
I just feel Conroy set the bar so high. I just feel
Yeah.
that there hasn't really been anybody who's really gotten close to him. I agree with you. Troy Baker's up there, but I still don't think, like, in comparison, I feel like with Mark Hamill also set the bar really high, but I feel there's been at least a couple actors that have gotten within striking distance. John DiMaggio
Troy
is the
Baker.
big one. Troy Baker. Like, I actually prefer Troy Baker's Joker over his Batman. I honestly do.
What? And I can definitely see that for sure.
Yeah, again, maybe an unpopular opinion,
Yeah.
but that's not a knock on Troy Baker. Super talented actor, but
Speaking of this Troy Baker
Yeah.
talk, did you guys hear he wants to either direct or star in a Daredevil game?
I could see that.
Oh, that'd be cool.
He'd make a good Daredevil.
Yeah.
Like, again, Charlie Cox is for me right now, like, has it on lock, but
Yeah.
like, he's
But yeah,
Again-
that's why he's saying like in the video game space.
I think he'd be
Mhm.
great. I really would.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, and God, we could like Daredevil is one of those characters from like if you made like an Arkham City like game for Daredevil, like with just Hell's Kitchen and like the Kingpin,
Yeah, they could do it.
100% you could do that.
That or like I know a popular mod in Sifu.
Oh yeah,
To
yeah.
give him a Daredevil skin.
Yeah.
And it works pretty well in a game of that effect.
Yep, I could absolutely
okay.
see that too. But yeah, just with Conroy though, like again for most iconic moment, I have to go Am I Blue. That song, like I remember distinctly because I was a huge Justice League and Justice League Unlimited fan. Like I have talked about this a lot, but like even though I'm big into like Marvel now, DC was where I got started in superheroes, and technically even before that was Milestone because it was of Static. But DC ended up buying Milestone, so Static Shock was
coming full circle.
Yeah, Static Shock was my like real intro when I realized at like 10 years old I love superheroes. Kevin Conroy may have been the first, but Virgil Hawkins was
he's what set it to that next level.
Yeah, Phil Lamar was the one who made me who really locked in, oh, this is what I love. And of course Kevin Conroy appeared in an episode of Static Shock. I think two actually. He appeared with the Justice League, and he appeared in a couple crossovers actually with Static.
Yeah, you talk about Static, and I don't know why, but I just remember the episode where they go to Africa.
Oh yeah.
What was it? Is it the Black Spider? No, what was the superhero?
His name was it starts with an A, but I know exactly who you're talking about. But yeah, he was a spider hero. And
he was based off the spider legend in Africa, who was a trickster.
Yeah. But I just remember that episode and like him like teaching Static like he can be like an influence on people like back in his hometown.
Yeah, because
that was just a pretty great storyline.
Yeah, and again we've talked a lot about like social issues, but anytime you talk like comic books, social issues go hand in hand with those. But like at the time, there weren't a lot of like black superheroes.
Yeah, which
and most of them had like black in their name, like Black Lightning or Black Panther.
I just love how Marvel handled Black Falcon recently, by the way.
Oh yeah, just Falcon.
Yeah, oh, it's Black Falcon. No, it's just Falcon.
It's just Falcon, kid. Yeah. Do I go around calling you Black Kid? God, I love it. I love Anthony Mackie.
Yeah, that was pretty great as far as handling that whole black, like, and then the character.
Yeah. And
there's a whole story about that I'll probably share with you in like a later podcast, but I think it's pretty funny.
Okay, cool. Yeah. We'll definitely bring that up because we'll hit the MCU, I'm sure, more. But
it does remind me that the Key and Peele sketch though with the Black Falcon too.
Oh yeah, he's Green Falcon, Black Falcon. that was a parody of Voltron, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, so with Static, it was important, again to introduce, there were a lot of like black superheroes at the time, and again it.
Well, and then they just felt the compulsive need to call them Black
whatever. Yeah, Black Panther, Black Lightning, whatever it was.
And it was Black Falcon back in the day.
Yeah, it was Black Falcon originally, and yeah, so it's just again, it's like it's important to acknowledge that like. This happened, and for me, Static was right time, right place. For when I first started watching, because it came out in 2000, I was 9 years old. Virgil was only a couple years older than me. I think he was 14 at the start of the series. And by the time it ended in 2004, he was 16. I was 13. So it's just right place, right time. It was like what Spider-Man was for a lot of people growing up, or any teenage superhero. But it's important because again, like Kevin Conroy, he made an impression in all those episodes too. And again, so I've talked about Kevin Conroy was the first time I saw a superhero brought to life. My first comic, I've told the story, was the Static #1. I really wish I had convinced my mom to buy. But Batman, Kevin Conroy was the first superhero that brought to life, and then of course him showing up in Static Shock. Cemented like, oh, Static is the real deal. To my 9-year-old, 10-year-old brain.
I mean, this is like the Batman in my like just random ass Static show.
Yeah, pretty much. And
you have been graced by Batman.
Yeah, And it's just so to me, it's like again, Kevin Conroy has had a very large influence in my life. I think I've been very open about my love of superheroes. It's not like we don't do a podcast every so often about the MCU entirely.
No, not at all.
And fun fact, little pull behind the scenes, but Samurai and I actually, before we launched the Lost One podcast, we tried another podcast attempt. We pitched a different idea that just didn't work out about actually breaking down the DC universe, which we still might do, but this is something that we have talked a lot about, and personally has influenced me. Samurai, I believe at one point you had several episodes of Batman the Animated Series, right? You had like some of the box sets, right?
I have the entire series.
There you go. So he has the entire series. Shoshima, I don't know if you were ever like a bigger. I think you were more a Spider-Man guy.
Yeah, I mean, comparatively speaking.
But like you've always enjoyed Batman.
Oh, yeah, I enjoyed Batman, Batman Beyond, even.
Oh yeah. We have not talked at all about Batman Beyond. Should we dedicate the last like couple 10 minutes or so talking about Beyond?
That's good with me. I mean, just even just still getting Kevin Conroy like in that, which they didn't need to.
No, they didn't. But God, he was incredible.
Batman Beyond, I feel like in that whole series, like in like the Bruce Timmerverse,
yeah,
I would say that was like that's where we also see Batman at his lowest point, literally first episode, because he's old, he's basically alone, and
when you just got
some
the
thugs.
Shit kicked out of him, right? I mean,
yeah,
in the first episode,
just some thugs that beat the crap out of him, and what's he do?
Pulls a gun.
He breaks his number one rule and pulls out a gun.
Yeah. In fairness, he beat the crap out of the thugs first, and then he had a heart attack in the middle of it, and that's when the thugs started beating the shit out of him and forced him to pull the gun.
But like right there, that was just the pulling of the gun was like one of the saddest moments. It was just like, oh,
yeah,
dang.
Yeah,
it's like it's right. He can't be Batman forever.
Yeah, exactly. Despite what a title might.
Yeah, I'll say that was a whole separate movie.
Yeah. But
where he was only Batman for one movie, by the way.
He was, so that's kind of funny. But yeah, but it's it's something to me that like Batman Beyond. I think outside of Project Zeta, okay, because Zeta is the one that I think gets the least amount of love in the Bruce Timm-verse. Like out of all the shows, it gets the least love. Batman Beyond, I think, is the second most underrated Bruce Timm-verse series. It was one of the shorter ones. It didn't last nearly as long as like Superman the Animated Series.
Yeah, it was like what, a season or two?
I think it was 2 or 3 seasons, maybe. I think it was 3.
2 seasons.
Yeah, I think it was 3, but they also got a movie. And by the way, that movie is arguably the greatest,
one of the best
DC animated movies of all time. To this day, it still holds up extremely well.
I remember being a dumb little kid and being like, "This movie's way above my head."
Right.
Like trying to watch it. Like a lot of shit happens in that movie.
Oh man, it's so good.
3 seasons, 50 episodes.
Okay, it was 3 seasons. I was right. Yay! I remembered something.
I knew it wasn't long, but I couldn't remember.
But like in Justice League was 2 seasons, but it also had Unlimited, which was like a direct continuation. So I technically group all those together. So like. Aside from Project Zeta, like even Static had 4 seasons, and so it was the second shortest of the Bruce Timm-verse series, and it was really, I just feel it's really underrated. Like to this day, not enough people I think talk about Batman Beyond.
Yeah, I think it was just a great transition too for Kevin Conroy being more of that mentor character.
Yeah,
one of my students, I actually I asked him just like, since he's such a huge Batman fan, check out Batman Beyond. What do I hear like lunchtime? Is I hear the Batman Beyond theme song, and I was just like,
core memories unlocked, huh?
Yeah. Well, it's just it's something that for me, like Batman Beyond came out before Justice League did. A lot of people don't remember that, but Batman Beyond I think debuted in like 1999. And it ran until 2002. Justice League, I think, started in 2002. So Batman Beyond ended up setting up a lot of stuff that like Justice League and Justice League Unlimited would revisit, including the future Justice League, where they have an older Superman running with a new Justice League, which include a new Green Lantern and Warhawk and Big Bertha. Big Bertha would end up playing a pretty significant role in a couple episodes of Justice League Unlimited. Warhawk appeared in that episode we talked about earlier with future Bruce meeting older Bruce, and it's
the Future Shock episode.
Yeah, Future Shock, and Future Shock actually I think was the title of the episode when Static Shock crossed over with Batman Beyond.
I know there's an episode where that happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I'm getting names mixed up, but there's.
But because that also happened, Kevin Conroy showed up in another episode of Static Shock. This time playing older Bruce. He also plays younger Bruce. They also name dropped the Titans at the time.
Yes, they did
in that episode. Which
the Teen Titans came out shortly after, or was that airing at the time?
It might have been airing at that time. Because the original Teen Titans, I think, debuted, I want to say it was like 2001, 2002.
Yeah, original Teen Titans, too, by the way. As far as just being a young kid consuming cartoons.
Oh, peak content. Unfortunately, no Kevin Conroy in that one.
No, there wasn't, but that was some good-ass content.
It was. And no disrespect to Teen Titans Go, but, like, I get it. Teen Titans Go is really popular now, but, like, it doesn't hold the candle to the original.
Yeah, not the same.
Teen Titans Go is basically...
it's a sillier.
That's why I could.
It's a sillier version. Like it's aimed at a younger audience, and there's nothing wrong with that.
The best way I could put it is Animaniacs. It's like an Animaniac of Teen Titans.
I think that's a really good comparison, actually.
Low-key, I thought that show was pretty bullshit until I saw the one scene of Cyborg literally beating his meat to Raven's legs. And I'm like, you know what? This has some like high level quality writing here.
No, it's don't get me wrong, it's really good. It's just it's not aimed at us anymore.
Yeah.
Like
but I feel like that literally beating his
meat, that absolutely was.
That specific scene was directly aimed at me specifically, not you, not you viewers, me specifically.
When I really started thinking of it as like an Animaniacs, I was just like, all right, and I'll catch a few episodes here and there.
Yeah, it just I think the best way to put it is we're not the target audience.
No, we're not. Just
and that is okay. But it is like they did ended up doing us a solid with the Teen Titans versus Teen Titans Go, which was phenomenal. And I will say this: Weird Al Yankovic as Trigun, greatest casting ever. Fight me, internet.
I mean, Kevin Conroy's Batman?
Damn. No, but it's like just, you're not expecting it. Like, it's such a perfect cast for that show. Like, who expects Weird Al Yankovic to play Trigun? Like, it...
No, it works great.
But yeah, it's fantastic. Best Trigon casting ever. Let me clarify. Because you're right. You got me. Kevin Conroy's Batman.
Hey, and I brought it back to topic, guys.
But, so Batman Beyond, though. For me, I slept on it. Like I was late to the Batman Beyond party. I don't think I watched all of Batman Beyond until after Justice League Unlimited had finished. Like I'd watched parts of it, but I was late to the Batman Beyond party.
Yeah, I don't totally remember. I mean, I remember recording that and Pokemon to watch on my VHS. That's how fucking old I am.
Yeah, there you go.
And I remember recording over something I wasn't supposed to, and I said, "Oops, I'm a dumb kid." Like, give me the VHS then. But yeah, I'm just like, oh, edgier Batman. Like, I'm fucking in. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It was pretty good back in the days.
No, I mean, and that suit design is one of my favorites.
Oh, like, red and black is like my favorite color schemes nowadays. Like,
yeah.
I remember as being a dumb kid, I liked red and blue.
Okay,
Spider-Man.
Gamer over here.
Yeah.
What would you say?
Quintessential gamer over here.
Yeah, sorry.
Well, real quick, just as a side note, Samurai, if you play Arkham City and you get like the Game of the Year edition, they have the classic Batman animated series costume, and they have the Batman Beyond costume in it.
Nice.
So there you go. So now play it. I want you to play it.
I'm not gonna lie, red and black was literally the colors for our wedding. So,
yeah,
I like that color scheme quite a bit.
Yeah. But anyway, apologies for the dog. Hiseo just got back. Tanner is making his
Haseo, that dumb bitch, ruining the podcast.
like always. But yeah, you know,
I watched Batman Beyond. When it first aired,
yeah.
and even more so when it came on Toonami.
I will say this, Samurai. You were the one who really like got me into Batman Beyond and Project Zeta. Like I didn't even know about Project Zeta until you told me about it, and you were the one who got me to watch it. So you know, like full credit to you.
Project Zeta was one of the ones that I wanted on DVD, but literally could not find anywhere.
Well, you know, now that you're an adult, you're gonna have to fix that, huh?
Mhm.
Look, Loki, what's Project Zeta?
So Project Zeta is basically there was a robot in Batman Beyond called Zeta,
Okay.
and it is kind of that almost stereotypical like robot gains sentience type thing.
Okay.
And so Project Zeta was a spin-off focusing on Zeta's adventure, and it actually connects back to Batman Beyond.
Oh, okay.
So it's really cool. So like he's introduced in Batman Beyond, and then he ends up coming back to help Terry later, like after his adventure has kind of concluded and he's found like his place.
Speaking
Basically,
of
a
which,
robot that was programmed for assassination, and then gains a sentience and realizes I don't want to do assassinations anymore.
Yeah,
I'm getting
He's government
big,
property.
yeah.
I'm getting big. What was it in Sonic Adventure 1? EMO.
Omega and yeah, but it was yeah, it was the robots like with project like with Beta, Alpha, Gamma.
Yeah.
Yeah, same thing. But in that case, like that was, you know, they were all harnessed by animals because that was Eggman's like whole
Yeah,
thing.
I'm
He
just
took
saying,
small
like, I'm
animals
just
to
getting
power
big
his
vibes with
robots.
that.
But yeah, very similar. Like
Okay.
very similar
Mhm.
storyline, very similar like approach. You're definitely on the right track. But yeah, and Zeta I think was like one season. I think it was maybe like 12 or 13 episodes. It was not a lot.
Yeah, it was a very short
Like
series.
a-
Yeah.
and then
It wasn't
was
very
it?
popular. I want to say it was the last one in the Bruce Timmiverse.
I actually think it aired between or during Batman Beyond, but before Justice League. But I think canonically, yes, it's the last one. Like in the timeline, yes, it's the last one.
And then
Yeah.
question on Batman Beyond was the whole reveal of Terry being not Bruce Wayne's kid, but Bruce Wayne's kid in the actual series, or was that?
No. So what ended up happening?
Because I remember learning that shit. And I'm like, what the fuck did I miss when I was a
that
kid?
was actually, I think, one of the last episodes of Justice League when
okay.
they thought the series
It
was
was the
going to
last
end.
Justice League.
Yeah, before Justice League Unlimited was greenlit,
Oh, okay.
and so because Batman Beyond didn't get its like fourth season,
Mm-hmm.
it didn't really have like a definitive ending
Mhm.
to it, which is fine because it still worked. Like they still wrapped up the season; it was still great.
Yeah.
But basically, they ended up, you know, as they wanted to kind of wrap up and conclude because they weren't sure if this was going to be the end of the Bruce Timmiverse. And of course, obviously, they would go on with like Justice League Unlimited and you know for another like 2 years or 3 years. But I think it was just 2. But they basically did like a whole episode focusing on Terry McGinnis, and they brought in Amanda Waller, and they connected a lot of those like dots that were, like I said, I made the reference of how like Batman Beyond set a lot of stuff up that Justice League and Justice League Unlimited would play through. So like the whole Cadmus storyline was tied into like that's how like Joker took over Tim Drake in the Return of the Joker movie was he was using Cadmus technology. And, you know, it was implied that he broke that out when he freed Ace and formed the Royal Flush Gang. So, you know, it's like there's all sorts of like these small connections that are tied in. And that was basically just kind of like this conclusion to, at that point, as I think that was 2004, a 12-year animated saga.
Yeah.
So,
correct me if I'm mistaken. It was they injected like Terry McGinnis's mom.
his dad.
Oh yeah, no,
Dad.
his dad
With Bruce's
to
DNA.
rewrite his DNA with Bruce's DNA, so he naturally got
Because
the
it was-
mom pregnant. Huh?
Bruce's DNA was all over the place.
Not remotely
Not
what I
remotely
meant.
wishing-
Yeah, rewrote his DNA with Bruce's DNA, got her pregnant, like all natural.
Yeah.
But yeah, ended up being like Bruce Wayne's kid in the long run.
And then, funnily enough, they also, I think, the assassin who's supposed to assassinate Terry McGinnis's parents in that episode, who refuses, is the Phantasm
Oh, okay.
from like the original, like
Mask of the Phantasm.
the woman who almost stopped Batman. Her name's like Andrea something, but yeah, it was like that. That was also another reference, like to just tie everything together. Like,
Yeah, I remember telling like that overall storyline to one of my brothers, and like, what the fuck did you just tell me?
yeah, pretty much.
I'm like, yeah, no, that was the stuff I watched as a kid. What's your point?
Yeah,
Was it convoluted? Yeah. Was it awesome? Yeah.
it doesn't also make sense. Yes, actually, it does. So it's not that convoluted. Like by comic book standards, that's pretty tame.
Yeah, as far as like general comic books.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, it was a really great rap, and again, it had like a really good performance by, you know, everyone involved, and of course you had, you know, Kevin Conroy again, you know, the man of the hour we're talking about today.
Mhm.
You know, just really play again, just cement that he is and probably forever will be, at least in my mind, Batman and Bruce Wayne.
Yeah. No, of course.
He understands the character, I think, better than any voice actor who's ever come before or since.
Yeah, I mean, voice actor or even regular actor, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Just anyone who's
corrected.
portrayed the character.
And you know, as someone who, as I said, as a gay man in the '80s and, you know, even in the early '90s, especially during the AIDS crisis, where he had to be closeted, he knew all about living a double life. Like, you're not really going to get a more realistic example. And you know, that's something like we talked about Mark Hamill's performance, for example. I think part of the reason why I think it's a little easier to hit where Mark Hamill is because versus Conroy is because with Batman, there's very few people who have truly lived the way that like Batman does.
Yeah, I mean, he almost had two roles, honestly.
And with Joker, no studio is going to legitimately hire someone who's that insane.
I don't know, Hamill's pretty close. I'm just saying.
Like, I'm just saying, like, if you were that sociopathic and that psychotic, you're not going to get hired by a studio. So it's a bit.
That's why you go into politics.
Right. Exactly. But well, stay tuned for our politics episode in the future.
Oh, I'll be drinking during that episode if that happens.
You drink in every episode.
Well, yeah.
But yeah, you know, it's just like, you know, for me, it's like Conroy. I think he is able to put his heart and soul into the character in a way that few others have ever been able to do in any media, in any role, truly. And I think that's what sets him apart, in my opinion. So I guess now is a good time. We've been going for about an hour and 10 minutes or so. Do we have any final thoughts that you guys want to share, Samurai? How about you?
I mean, Kevin Conroy was my Batman. Just plain and simple. Really happy that I got to meet him. And it's not going to be the same without him, you know?
Definitely. Shoshima, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, I've pretty much echoed Samurai this whole episode, just hearing him be Batman again just felt right. I do want to say, like, yeah, you were talking about earlier this year how he did the comic.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Decent,
I don't know if that was him coming out per se, but at least that's where I learned it.
Yeah, that's a lot of people learned it that way.
Yeah, I did too.
Okay, so I mean, so I don't feel nearly as bad because I know I'm not as into voice acting as, you know, Samurai.
No, you are not alone in that. Like, I think I had heard it before, but that was like, I don't want to say I knew for a fact. Like, that was for sure when I knew.
Okay, like
So-
it affirmed your suspicions, if anything.
Yeah, because I think we had a friend of ours that I haven't spoken to in over a decade at this point, who was really into Batman. And I think it might have come up during one of those because she was a huge Kevin Conroy fanboy. So maybe that's where I first heard it, because I think she would have known. But again, I can't say for certain.
Yeah.
So
Either way, just all I'm getting at is just learning that, and it doesn't. If anything, it makes me appreciate his role even more.
right.
You know, learning that he felt that way and had to keep it a secret per se. But I mean, he's still Batman. I don't care.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, it's like you said earlier, and you know, kind of like what we talked about, because again, we talked about a lot of social stuff, but you know, Kevin Conroy was always an advocate, so I think it is appropriate if we kind of close on this. If you guys will allow me to get up on my soapbox for a second, but You know, we talked about how these ideas of like women not being able to lead in action movies, or you know, being typecast into a role, or you know, being gay, none of that should matter in an ideal world.
Correct.
But we don't live in an ideal world. And there are bigotry and sexism and hatred for against a lot of people for no reason other than them existing. And I think Kevin Conroy's one of his greatest gifts was that he was always a champion.
Mm-hmm.
We made the reference earlier that, you know, there have been others who have taken up that mantle, that torch, and tried to guide humanity forward. We've dunked on Elon Musk a lot, right? But at one point, he was very beloved and very forward thinking. J.K.
Yeah.
Rowling was another one. I made a reference to another famous character. Dumbledore coming out as gay was a huge moment for of legitimacy for the LGBT community. And unfortunately, J.K. has since fallen into this horrible villainous streak where she is literally all about spreading hatred against the transsexual community.
Correct.
Kevin Conroy never had that fall.
No.
Harvey Dent in The Dark Knight says you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Conroy, although was taken from us much too soon, did live a long and full life. And he never became a villain. He will go down, in my opinion, as not only the greatest Batman in history, but also as one of the most genuine and heartfelt human beings to ever pick up the role. There's very few, if any, stories about Kevin Conroy being difficult to work with, about negative interactions with fans, or even among his fellow co-workers. And when he passed away, when the announcement that he passed away, the entire internet felt like collectively mourned. So today, here on the Lost One podcast, we want to celebrate and honor the life of the late, great Kevin Conroy, who, as you've heard about for the last hour and 15 minutes, shaped all three of our lives, and I'm sure will continue to shape lives, as long as we keep his legacy alive. So for everyone watching, this has been the Lost One podcast, episode 19. He is SamuraiNoodlez. He is Shoshima1016. My name is Shenzo the Lost. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye!